And we're now getting in White House's official statement after Donald Trump's Nobel snub. The statement reads, and I'm quoting, "President Trump will continue making peace deals around the world, ending wars and saving lives. He has the heart of a humanitarian, and there will never be anyone like him who can move mountains with the sheer force of his will." The Nobel Committee proved they place politics over peace.
Tomorrow, the winner of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize is going to be announced in Norway, and among the nominees, of course, President Donald Trump. Now, he's made it absolutely no secret that he wants the honour, saying, in fact, that it would be a big insult if he were not to receive it.
Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements.
The letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee, it's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well-deserved.
Will you get the Nobel Prize? Absolutely not. They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing.
Okay, so picture this. You're the president of the United States. You've been telling everyone, literally everyone, that you deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. You've been talking about it for months. You've got your staff working the phones, calling up Norway, probably sending fruit baskets to the Nobel Committee. You're convinced, absolutely convinced, that this is your moment. And then they give it to someone else. Not just anyone else, though. They give it to a Venezuelan opposition leader. And here's the kicker. She thanks you in her acceptance. Like, can you believe this? It's like getting rejected for prom and then having your crush dedicate their dance with someone else to you. It's wild. This just happened. October 10th, 2025. The Norwegian Nobel Committee announced their Peace Prize winner, and it wasn't Donald Trump. Despite everything, despite all the lobbying, all the claims about ending wars, all the peace deals he says he brokered, they said no. And the White House? Oh, they are mad. Like publicly raging mad. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest, you can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video. Now, before we get into the absolute chaos that followed, and trust me, the chaos is good, we need to understand something. This wasn't just a random snub. Trump has been actively campaigning for this prize, not quietly hoping, not just, doing good things and letting the chips fall where they may. No, he's been campaigning, capital letters campaigning. He's been talking about it in speeches, posting about it. His team has been reaching out to the Nobel Committee. This was a full court press, and it failed spectacularly. The Nobel Committee instead chose Maria Corina Machado. She's a Venezuelan opposition leader who's been fighting for democracy in a country that's, let's be real, falling apart under Maduro's regime. The committee cited her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela. Fair enough, she's done real work. Nobody's questioning that. But here's where it gets absolutely bonkers. Trump immediately went on social media and TV saying that Machado called him personally and told him she was accepting the award, wait for it, in his honor, because according to Trump, he truly deserved it. Yeah, sure, that happened. Now, Machado did praise Trump in her statement. She thanked him for supporting Venezuelan democracy. That part's true, but dedicating the entire Nobel Prize to him, saying he deserved it more than her, that's a stretch. That's a massive stretch. And nobody can find any evidence of this phone call where she supposedly said this. So what we've got here is a president who wanted the Nobel Prize so badly he could taste it, got rejected, and then immediately tried to spin it like actually he basically won anyway, because the person who did win said he should have won. It's like, come on, are you kidding me? And the White House response? Pure fire. Stephen Chung, White House spokesperson, posted on X almost immediately, the Nobel Committee proved they place politics over peace. President Trump will continue making peace deals, ending wars, and saving lives. Politics over peace. That's their angle. The Nobel Peace Prize Committee, the folks who've been doing this since 1901, they're the ones playing politics, not the guy who spent months lobbying for personal recognition. Sure, social media exploded, and I mean exploded. Within hours, memes were everywhere. People were posting fake Trump quotes, like nobody ended more wars than me. Still no Nobel Prize. Totally rigged. Very sad. The mockery it was relentless. But here's the thing. MAGA supporters, they're not laughing. They're furious. They genuinely believe the Nobel Committee is biased against Trump, that this is just another example of global elites refusing to recognize his achievements, and they're loud about it. So now we've got this massive divide. Half the country, actually, half the world is laughing at Trump for this very public rejection. The other half is rallying around him, claiming he's being unfairly targeted by international institutions that hate America. And somewhere in the middle of all this is Maria Corina Machado, who probably just wanted to accept her award and highlight the crisis in Venezuela, but instead became a pawn in Trump's ongoing quest for validation. This story is not just about a prize, it's about ego, legacy, and how desperately Trump wants to be seen as a peacemaker, especially compared to Obama, who won the Nobel back in 2009. That comparison has been eating at Trump for years, and now he's been passed over again. We're going to break down exactly how we got here, what Trump's been saying about his peace deals, why the Nobel Committee wasn't buying it, and what this means as we head toward the 2026 elections. Because yeah, this is going to be a campaign issue. You better believe it. The thing is, and this is what makes it so fascinating, Trump genuinely thought he had this. His team was reportedly confident. They'd been working the angles, talking to people who know committee members, building what they thought was a solid case. This wasn't some long shot fantasy. They really believed it was happening, and then it didn't. And the public nature of that failure, that's what stings. Because Trump had talked about it so much, had built it up so much, that when the announcement came and it wasn't him, everybody noticed. You can't quietly lose something you've been loudly campaigning for. So stick around. This gets even weirder, because we haven't even gotten to the part about how this ties into Trump's entire second-term strategy, his ongoing feud with international institutions, and why this might actually hurt him more than anyone realizes. Alright, so let's rewind a bit, because to understand why this Nobel rejection hit so hard, you need to understand Trump's entire relationship with this prize. And it's complicated, like really complicated. Trump has been talking about the Nobel Peace Prize for years, not just this term, not just last term. We're talking about an obsession that goes back to at least his first presidency, and it always comes back to Obama. Barack Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009. He'd been president for less than a year. The committee said they were awarding it for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between peoples. A lot of people thought it was premature. Even Obama seemed kind of surprised, but he got it. And Trump has never let that go. Never. He's brought it up in rallies, in interviews, in tweets and posts. The subtext is always the same. Obama got the prize for doing nothing, and I've actually achieved peace, so where's mine? Now, to be fair to Trump, and yeah, we're going to be fair here, he has been involved in some diplomatic efforts. The Abraham Accords from his first term normalized relations between Israel and several Arab nations. That was significant. He's also claimed credit for various ceasefires and negotiations in his current term. His supporters point to these and say, look, tangible results. Where's the recognition? But here's where it gets tricky. The Nobel Committee doesn't just hand out prizes for signing papers. They're looking at sustained commitment to peace, human rights, and democracy. And Trump's record on those broader issues is mixed, really mixed. Like he's praised authoritarian leaders, he's talked about using military force casually. His approach to immigration has been, let's say, controversial. He pulled out of international agreements. The Nobel Committee looks at the whole picture, not just individual deals. So when Trump started actively campaigning for the prize earlier this year, a lot of people were skeptical. And by campaigning, I mean really campaigning. His team reportedly reached out to the Nobel Committee multiple times. He mentioned it in speeches. He'd bring it up in press conferences. It was becoming this running theme. And then the committee announced Machado, and everything blew up. Now let's talk about Machado for a second, because she's actually fascinating. She's been fighting for democracy in Venezuela for decades. She won a primary to potentially challenge Maduro, but the regime banned her from running. She's faced threats, intimidation, all of it. She's been in hiding, and she's still fighting. Her win makes sense from the committee's perspective. She represents grassroots democratic struggle against authoritarianism. She's not a head of state wielding power. She's an opposition figure, risking everything. That's the kind of profile the Nobel Committee often favors. But Trump saw it differently. In his mind, he's the one who's been supporting people like Machado. He's been tough on Maduro. He's backed opposition movements. So shouldn't he get credit? That's where the phone call claim comes in. Trump said on TV, on social media, that Machado called him and told him she was accepting in his honor because he truly deserved it. He's been repeating this. His supporters are repeating this. It's become part of the narrative. But, and this is important, Machado's actual statement doesn't quite match up. She praised Trump. Yes, she thanked him for supporting Venezuelan democracy. But she didn't say she was accepting in his honor. She didn't say he deserved it more than her. Those specific claims, they're not in her statement. So either there was a private phone call where she said things she didn't say publicly, which, okay, possible, or Trump is embellishing. And given his history of creative interpretations of conversations, a lot of people are betting on the latter. The White House response, though, that's what really escalated this. Stephen Chung's post wasn't just defensive, it was aggressive. Accusing the Nobel Committee of playing politics, that's a bold move. You're essentially saying one of the world's most respected institutions is corrupt or biased, and MAGA world ate it up. Within hours, social media was flooded with attacks on the Nobel Committee. People were calling it a joke, a scam, politically motivated. There were comparisons to Obama's win, suggestions that the committee hates Trump because he's a strong America First leader. The narrative became, Trump is too successful, too much of a disruptor, and the global elites can't stand it. On the flip side, the mockery was brutal. Late-night hosts had a field day. Memes compared Trump to a kid who didn't get picked for the team. There were jokes about him giving himself a homemade Nobel Prize. The phrase Nobel Prize loser started trending. It was a lot. But here's what most people are missing. This isn't just about Trump's ego. I mean, yeah, his ego is definitely involved. But there's a bigger story here about how America is perceived globally. Trump's whole brand is strength, winning, making deals. He positions himself as someone who gets things done while everyone else just talks. The Nobel Prize would have been validation of that brand on the world stage. It would have been proof that even critics have to admit his approach works. Not getting it, that undermines the narrative. It suggests that the international community doesn't see him as a peacemaker. It implies that his methods, the tough talk, the transactional diplomacy, the focus on hard power, aren't what the world values in a Peace Prize winner. And that matters politically, because as we head toward 2026 midterms, Trump's foreign policy record is going to be a major issue. Republicans want to run on strength and peace through strength. This Nobel rejection hands Democrats ammunition to say the world doesn't actually respect Trump's approach. Democrats are already using it. There have been statements from progressive politicians basically saying, see, the international community recognizes real peace work and Trump's bluster doesn't qualify. It's becoming a talking point. Meanwhile, Trump supporters are doubling down. They're arguing that the Nobel Committee is out of touch, that it's run by European elites who hate America First policies, and that Trump doesn't need their validation anyway. It's turning into another front in the ongoing culture war. And poor Machado is stuck in the middle of all this. She won the Nobel Peace Prize, which should be the highlight of her career, recognition for incredibly brave work, and instead, the story became about Trump. Her moment got hijacked by American political drama. That's gotta sting. You fight for democracy for decades, risk your life, finally get recognized, and the news cycle is dominated by an American president claiming you dedicated your award to him. It's pretty wild, but that's where we are. That's 2025 politics. Everything becomes about Trump, even when it's explicitly not about Trump. Even the Nobel Peace Prize can't escape the gravitational pull of his personality and the reaction to it. So what happens next? Well, Trump's not going to let this go. That's not how he operates. He'll keep bringing it up, keep claiming he was robbed, keep suggesting the system is rigged against him. His base will believe it, his critics will mock it, and the divide will get wider. And the Nobel Committee, they'll move on. They'll award the next prize next year, probably to someone else who's not Trump. And this whole cycle will repeat. But the damage, or the political benefit, depending on your perspective, is already done. Trump wanted validation from the international community. He campaigned hard for it. He didn't get it. And now both sides have another data point to add to their narratives about who Trump really is. Let me tell you something else that's interesting here. The timing. October 10th. We're just over a year away from the 2026 midterms. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Everything Trump does right now, every reaction, every controversy, it's all building the narrative for that election. And this Nobel thing, it cuts both ways. For his critics, it's proof he's obsessed with personal glory, that he cares more about awards than actual governance. For his supporters, it's proof the establishment, including international institutions, will never give him credit no matter what he achieves. Both narratives will be used in campaign ads, both will be repeated on cable news, both will fundraise off of it. That's modern politics. Every single thing becomes a weapon. The question is, which narrative wins? Which one persuades the people in the middle who aren't already decided? Because let's be real, Trump's hardcore base and his hardcore opposition are locked in. They're not changing their minds. It's the folks in between who matter. And for those people, this story might actually be revealing because it shows priorities. It shows what Trump cares about. And it shows how he handles disappointment by claiming victory anyway and attacking the people who rejected him. Is that presidential? Is that what we want from a leader? Those are the questions this raises. Okay, so let's break this down into what actually matters. Because underneath all the noise, all the memes, all the outrage, there are some real things happening here, and they're going to have consequences. First point, Trump's legacy obsession is real, and it's driving policy. This isn't just about wanting a trophy. Trump is genuinely concerned with how history will remember him, and he's specifically concerned about being seen as less than Obama. The Nobel Prize represented a chance to even that score in a very public way. That obsession affects decisions. It affects which diplomatic efforts get prioritized. It affects messaging. When a president is focused on legacy and recognition, that shapes how they govern. We're seeing that play out in real time. And here's the thing, it's not working. The harder Trump pushes for recognition, the more resistance he seems to hit. The Nobel Committee isn't unique. There's been pushback from other international institutions, allies, diplomatic circles. Trump's approach to validation, demanding it, campaigning for it, getting angry when it doesn't come, that approach isn't landing the way he wants. Think about it. When's the last time you saw a president actively campaign for a prize like this? Usually, if you're doing the work, the recognition follows naturally. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to lobby for it. The fact that Trump felt he needed to, that tells you something about how confident he was that it would come on its own. And maybe, just maybe, there's a reason for that lack of confidence. Maybe on some level, he knows his approach to foreign policy isn't what traditionally wins peace prizes. Maybe that's why he felt he had to push so hard. But pushing hard when you're not the obvious choice, that usually backfires. And it did, spectacularly. Second point, the international community's view of America matters more than people think. A lot of Trump supporters will say, who cares what the Nobel Committee thinks? Who cares what Europe thinks? America first means we don't need their approval. And sure, there's logic there. National sovereignty, prioritizing American interests, those are legitimate policy positions. But here's reality. International perception affects American power. It affects our ability to build coalitions, negotiate treaties, respond to crises. When America is respected globally, our diplomacy carries more weight. When we're seen as erratic or overly focused on one leader's personality, that weakens our position. The Nobel rejection is symbolic, but symbols matter in international relations. They signal how America is viewed, and right now, the signal is complicated. We're powerful, yes. We're influential, absolutely. But are we seen as a force for peace and democracy? That's getting murkier. This matters for things like climate agreements, trade deals, security partnerships. If international institutions and foreign leaders don't trust or respect American leadership, they'll work around us. They'll build alternative frameworks. We've already seen some of that happening. So when Trump gets rejected by the Nobel Committee, it's not just personal. It's a data point about America's global brand, and that has real-world implications. Look, America has always had a complicated relationship with international opinion. We're big enough and powerful enough that we can, to some extent, ignore what others think. But there's a difference between strategic independence and being actively disliked or distrusted. Right now, polling shows mixed international views of America under Trump's second term. Some countries appreciate his directness and willingness to confront adversaries. Others are worried about unpredictability and what they see as abandonment of traditional alliances. The Nobel rejection fits into that second category. It suggests that the values Trump represents, transactional diplomacy, America first, hard power over soft power, aren't resonating with international institutions that have traditionally celebrated American leadership. That might not matter today, but it'll matter in 10 years, it'll matter in 20 years, because international relationships are built over time and reputation matters. Third point, the polarization isn't going anywhere, it's actually getting worse. Look at the reactions to this story. You've got one side celebrating Trump's rejection as proof he's not the peacemaker he claims to be. You've got the other side attacking the Nobel Committee as biased elites. There's no middle ground. There's no shared reality. That's the pattern now, with literally everything involving Trump. Every story becomes a Rorschach test. Every event gets interpreted through completely different frameworks, and the gap between those frameworks keeps growing. This Nobel situation is going to be used by both sides as evidence for their worldview. Democrats will point to it as proof Trump's global reputation is damaged. Republicans will point to it as proof global institutions are biased against strong American leadership. Both narratives will coexist. Both will be believed by millions of people, and neither side will convince the other. That's where we are as a country. And heading into 2026 elections, it's only going to intensify. Every Trump action or reaction becomes campaign material. This Nobel rejection will show up in ads, in debates, and talking points. Count on it. You'll see Democratic ads with footage of Trump talking about deserving the prize, then the committee choosing someone else, then Trump claiming victory anyway. The message will be, he's delusional, he can't accept reality, he's more concerned with personal glory than actual achievement. You'll see Republican ads attacking the Nobel Committee, showing Obama's prize, contrasting it with Trump's actual peace deals. The message will be, the elites hate Trump because he actually gets results, and they can't stand a president who puts America first. Both ads will be effective with their target audiences, both will raise money, both will drive turnout, and both will push the two sides further apart. That's modern American politics. We don't even agree on basic facts anymore, let alone interpretations. And every new story, including this one, gets weaponized immediately. Fourth point, Machado got lost in all this, and that's a shame. Seriously. Maria Corina Machado is fighting for democracy in a country that's in crisis. Venezuela's humanitarian situation is devastating. Millions have fled. The regime is brutal, and she's standing up to it at enormous personal risk. She deserved her moment. She deserved for the story to be about Venezuelan democracy and the courage it takes to fight authoritarianism. Instead, it became about Trump. Again, that's a pattern worth noticing. How many international stories get swallowed up by American political drama? How often does U.S. domestic polarization overwhelm everything else? It's not healthy, it's not productive, and it means we're missing important stories about what's happening in the world. Venezuela matters. The struggle for democracy there matters. Machado's work matters. But good luck finding coverage that focuses on that instead of Trump's reaction to not winning. That's a loss for everyone. We're less informed, less aware of global issues, because everything filters through the Trump lens. Whether you love him or hate him, that's a problem. And think about what this means for future activists and dissidents. If you win the Nobel Prize and your story immediately becomes about American politics instead of your actual work, what does that say about how we value international human rights struggles? It says we don't. Not really. We care about them insofar as they relate to our own political battles. But as standalone stories worthy of attention, they get buried. Machado is risking her life for democracy. She's separated from her family. She's in hiding. She's facing a brutal authoritarian regime. And her Nobel Prize moment, the one time the world spotlight was truly on her and her cause, got hijacked. That's tragic, and it's emblematic of a larger problem with how American media and American politics dominate global discourse. Fifth point, this reveals something important about Trump's second-term strategy. Trump came into his second term with specific goals. One of them was clearly to cement his legacy as a historic peacemaker. The Nobel Prize was part of that plan. It was supposed to be validation, proof that even critics had to acknowledge his achievements. Without it, he has to find other ways to build that legacy, and that might actually make him more aggressive on foreign policy, more willing to take risks, more focused on dramatic deals and announcements. Is that good or bad? Depends on your perspective. Maybe it leads to genuine breakthroughs. Maybe it leads to reckless decisions made for headlines rather than strategy. But either way, the Nobel rejection changes the calculation. Trump now knows that international institutions aren't going to give him credit, so he might stop caring about their approval and just do whatever he thinks will play well domestically. That's a shift, and it could have real consequences for how America engages with the world over the next few years. So where does this leave us? Trump didn't get his Nobel Prize. He's mad about it. His supporters are mad about it. His critics are celebrating it. Machado got her award, but had to share the spotlight with American political chaos. And the divide in how people interpret all of this got wider. In a few weeks, this specific story will fade from the headlines. Something else will happen, some new controversy or crisis, and we'll move on to that. But the underlying dynamics, those aren't going anywhere. Trump's obsession with legacy and recognition will continue to shape his decisions. The international community's complicated relationship with American leadership will keep affecting our global position. The polarization will keep intensifying as we get closer to 2026, and important international stories will keep getting overshadowed by domestic political drama. That's the real story here, not whether Trump deserved the prize or whether the committee was biased, but what this whole episode reveals about where we are as a country and how we engage with the world. And honestly, it's messy, it's chaotic, it's frustrating if you're looking for some kind of coherent narrative or shared understanding. But that's 2025. That's the reality we're living in. Trump wanted validation from the world stage. He campaigned for it. He didn't get it. And now we're all arguing about what that means, if it means anything at all. The Nobel Committee will award another prize next year. Trump will probably want that one too. His critics will mock him. His supporters will defend him. And the cycle continues. Welcome to modern politics, where even a peace prize becomes a weapon in an endless partisan war. And you know what? Buckle up. Because if you think this was wild, just wait until we see what happens when the 2026 campaign really heats up. If a Nobel Prize rejection can cause this much chaos, imagine what's coming. Every day brings a new controversy. Every week brings a new battle. Every month brings us closer to an election that's shaping up to be absolutely insane. Trump's not going to forget this Nobel thing. It's going to come up again. This Nobel thing is going to come up again. He's going to find ways to bring it up, to frame it as evidence of bias, to use it to fire up his base. And Democrats are going to use it right back at him. Meanwhile, the actual work of governing, the actual challenges facing the country, those get lost in the noise because we're too busy arguing about a prize that nobody actually won or lost, depending on how you look at it. That's where we are. That's the state of American politics in 2025. We'll be watching. Trust me on that. Because this story is just getting started.